वी आर लाइव।
Fantastic.
ये अपना एक्सपेरिमेंट चल रहा है कि लेट्स सी हाउ दिस विल गो, क्योंकि वी काफ़ी गैप हो गया था। हम लोग बुक्स तो
I
पढ़
agree.
रहे हैं पर अपना प्लेटफॉर्म पे हम लोग कुछ कर नहीं रहे,
Yeah,
थैंक्स टू अवर वर्क लाइफ। कुछ होता नहीं है उसके सिवा। तो
that's true.
अपना आइडिया क्या था कि लेट्स एलिमिनेट द एडिटिंग एंड द ब्यूटिफिकेशन एटसेट्रा एटसेट्रा, जस्ट फोकस ऑन द कंटेंट, एंड द कंटेंट इज बुक्स, वी लव टू टॉक अबाउट बुक्स, दैट्स हाउ आवर फ्रेंडशिप स्टार्टेड, है ना?
That's true. Yeah, I think the additional admin was becoming a little bit of a blocker, and indeed our work-life balance is a little skewed at the moment. So
Yeah.
cut the admin, deliver the content. That's
Correct.
what we enjoy, reading books, talking about books, and that's what we are here to do.
Imagine this, yeah, like once we recorded an episode in our, like, until last 7 8 months ago, we recorded the episode, और उसको जाना देन कैपकट जैसे फ्री सॉफ्टवेयर पे उसको एडिट करते रहना, करो 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 टू एनहांस द क्वालिटी, ये फोटो डालो वो फोटो डालो, देन चेक फॉर द बैकग्राउंड म्यूजिक, चेक फॉर द राइट थंबनेल्स, चेक फॉर द राइट कंटेंट, चैट जीपीटी पे जाओ, क्रिएट द राइट blurb, write hashtags. I mean, damn, that's a lot of work. That's a lot of work.
And then waiting for the video to be rendered. वो
True.
rendering में it takes a couple of hours. Then you just keep your laptop, come back, and it's still rendering so that it can go live.
So nightmare, nightmare. But क्या है ना, जैसे वो now that we have eliminated that, I think we got a lot of time to read more.
Read more, talk more, do more.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. Though I don't have my cup of coffee, but it's like we are sitting in Starbucks, meeting after a couple of months, and like, भाई क्या कर रहा है, कौन सी बुक पढ़ रहा है? That's the
yeah,
intention.
yeah,
Simple.
correct.
तो भाई कौन सी बुक पढ़ रहा है अभी?
फिलहाल तो I'm trying to finish off a book which I started a few months ago. I think it's a nice book, but
Mm-hmm.
still struggling with the lack of time to be able to finish it off. Book is called No Rules Rules. Have you heard
No
of it?
rules, rules. Okay.
You haven't heard of it.
No.
Okay, so I think the book is based on the culture of Netflix, um, co-authored by one of the co-founders, Reed Hastings, and a lot of the research was done by an INSEAD ka professor who goes by Erin Meyer,
Okay.
and they have together taken some inspiration. And by the way, Erin Meyer is also the author of the book called The Culture Map, if you've heard of it. So The Culture Map essentially is a fantastic read. It talks about the cultural differences between people and what their preconceived notions are and how their culture drives what resonates with them and what doesn't.
अच्छा.
So, like if you are a manager and you're right now working in Germany, but one of your team members is American, what are the typical things in the American culture that they like? They probably like a lot more professionalism. They like a lot of appreciation for their work. Versus you probably go to Indian, you work with an Indian, and they really want as much cut the admin, cut the nonsense, get to the point. What करना क्या है वो बताओ करो and आगे बढ़ो. So
अच्छा, हम
for
लोग इंडियंस लोग
managers and
ऐसा
above,
होते हैं? हम लोग ऐसा?
again I'm just taking examples,
हाँ.
right? I mean, but the point is कि the book really double clicks on cultures कैसे हैं अलग-अलग लोगों के
हाँ.
and how you have to tailor your managerial style when you're working with people of who come from that culture. So
Yeah.
it's a nice read, also for the audience. But coming back to the book itself, No Rules Rules. So it's co-authored by one of the co-founders of Netflix and also this professor from INSEAD who has also authored the book The Culture Map.
Hmm.
And the book really talks about the culture at Netflix, which will surprise a lot of people as to why it is today one of the most successful companies, why so many people aspire to work at Netflix.
Hmm.
And उनका primarily basis है, they have tried to steer away from the inspiration that big companies require a lot of rules They
Hmm.
require a lot of administrative processes. They require a lot of levels of approvals to be able to do things. They said, cut all of that. We want one to have a company where talent density is very high. And what that means is have less number of people. So remove 20 people in a department, have three people who are the best in the market, super efficient, who can do things first time right,
Hmm.
and pay them top of the market salaries. So they don't
Hmm.
have an annual appraisal process. They encourage their, that's the second thing. So they encourage their employees to go and talk to uh, recruiters outside from competitors, understand what their market value is, and come and tell it to their managers and the HR. And no questions asked. They will get their salaries will be matched to what their market value is at that moment. So you can have three appraisals in the year, five appraisals in the year, depending on how quickly you are learning new skills,
Hmm.
how in demand is that in the market, and then just coming back. So you are responsible for your own appraisal, which is
Wow.
fantastic.
ये after hearing this एक have you seen this video जहाँ पे there are like three Premier League footballers and there are 70 80 school going like children. uh,
I haven't seen it.
yeah, तो it's exactly the same फंडा कि तीन फुटबॉलर्स who are proficient टॉप नॉट स्किल सेट्स है उनके पास फुटबॉल खेलने के लिए against a population of children who have very less skills. पता है हाँ बॉल को पैर से किक करना है बट दे आर लाइक but the video is just of 5 minutes and imagine उसमें ना you should watch this वो
Yeah.
they are easily able to maneuver this ball between themselves
Hmm.
और वो within like 5 minutes they can easy they have a
Score a
goal.
goal.
Yeah.
Okay.
और वो गोलकीपर भी 10 गोलकीपर्स है 10 बच्चे
Oh
हैं
my God.
तो it's like crazy
Wow.
है ना.
I think I can fully relate to that, right? That is also what this book talks about. Quality over quantity. So that's the underlying principle. And it's so simple, but I think at some level, not too many companies are thinking about it.
हाँ.
Technology is now forcing us. A lot of the jobs which were typically done by people are now being taken away. So it's technology which is forcing to let go of the workforce in companies. But there less and less companies these days think about quality. They're thinking of having more people and sort of having an army of a workforce rather
Yeah.
than good quality people, and then doing their best to retain those people. A lot of times, petty things like performance appraisals and policies which are set in companies which limit growth, even for high performing individuals, is why people just decide to move to a different company. But they really focus on their people and they empower them to do the right thing. So, which brings me to the third and last point from the book, which is the freedom and control that they give. So, typically in an organization, if you're talking about spending 5 million bucks to produce the next big film that
Hmm.
Netflix usually has an in-house production house, so they create their own movies and they have a big R&D department which is responsible to think about ideas and then direct movies, get the right actors, and then actually produce that movie itself. Once they hire a person who they think has the right capability, then that person by themselves is responsible for that budget. You don't have to go to your manager, to their manager, to their manager. Whether it's 500 euros or 500,000 euros or 5 million euros, no approvals required.
अच्छा.
You're expected to just make sure that you do a general survey in the team कि भाई मेरा ये idea है and this is what I'm thinking. What do you think about it?
Hmm.
Then you can do sort of a poll and test it with your peers, also with your team, and see, yeah, I think that will work. Maybe that won't work. But at the end of it, whatever the poll says, it's your decision, and
Hmm.
you have to back yourself up. So there is no process, standardized process which you need to follow. which is brilliant, right? I mean, that adds a lot more autonomy, but then that brings a lot more responsibility. So you have to really own what you do, and in the truest sense, you are your own boss, even in
Super.
the company which is the size of Netflix. So again, I haven't finished the book yet, but so far, really interesting culture, and one day maybe I would want to work at Netflix.
Yeah, why not? But you are sticking to your how should I improve myself? How to
Correct.
learn business? How to do that? You won't go beyond that genre. I don't think so.
I'm keen to really understand what you're reading because you're probably more in the world of fiction,
Oh
in your
yes.
own world of fiction. So how about you tell me what you're up to?
अरे भाई मैं तो पढ़ रहा हूँ स्टीफन किंग. ठीक है स्टीफन
Very
किंग की.
nice.
आई थिंक ही इज गोइंग टू पब्लिश अ न्यू बुक इफ आई एम नॉट रॉन्ग. लेट मी जस्ट सर्च. कौन सी बुक आने वाली है? Stephen King new book, and it's on a character on one of his like very lovable characters, Holly Gibney. She's a detective. हाँ, never flinch
Okay.
करके एक book आने वाली है which is in 27. No, 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 sorry, मैं तो प्राइस देख रहा हूँ. Is new this coming in?
27 euros.
No, no, no. 27th मई को आने वाली है, सॉरी. ट्वेंटी
Okay.
सेवेंथ मई को आने वाली है. और इट्स बेस्ड ऑन दिस कैरेक्टर हॉली गिबनी, जिनके मैंने दो बुक्स पढ़े हैं, तीन बुक्स पढ़े हैं. द आउटसाइडर का एक बुक था विच केम इन 2017-2018. देन आई नो इट विल यू आर लाइक ये क्या बक बक कर रहा है, मुझे क्या करना है स्टीफन किंग का, बट फिर भी बता रहा हूँ. तो द आउटसाइडर का बुक थी. देन शी गॉट फीचर्ड इन वन ऑफ द नोवेलाज, शॉर्ट स्टोरी नोवेलाज, इफ इट ब्लीड्स. एंड देन शी गॉट हर ओन बुक itself लास्ट ईयर, हॉली करके. वेरी गुड
Okay.
बुक्स, ऑल थ्री वर वेरी गुड बुक्स. बट देन आई गॉट टू नो दैट ये नेवर फ्लिंच करके भी आ रही है. एंड देन व्हाट आई डिड वाज, देन आई ऐसे गूगल जेमिनी पे गया, मैं बोला कि ओके हाउ डिड द कैरेक्टर स्टार्ट. तो इट स्टार्टेड विद अ बिल हॉजेस ट्रिलॉजी है स्टीफन किंग की,
Okay.
three books on detective series where this character is introduced. And at that time Stephen King did not have an idea कि Holly को he want to give that center or
Stage.
limelight, center
Yeah.
stage. तो मुझे पढ़ना था कि यार I want to be ready by the time Never Flinch comes. I want to see her character arc, because I know the latest character arc where she's like super cool, but how from a raw cut uncut diamond to a very 24 carat diamond, वो कैसे बनी. तो आई एम रीडिंग इट्स हिज फर्स्ट बुक, मिस्टर मर्सिडीज. वो
Okay.
पढ़ूंगा. उसके बाद देन आई ऑलरेडी हैव द सेकेंड. उसके बाद मैं पढ़ूंगा फाइंडर्स कीपर्स, इट इज बुक नंबर 2. एंड बुक नंबर 3 इज एंड ऑफ वॉच. तो ये तीन तो मेरी अभी लाइन में पड़ी है, जो फॉर श्योर मई 27 तक ख़त्म हो जाएगी. फिर जब प्राइसेस थोड़े, आई होपफुली प्राइसेस थोड़े सस्ते होंगे, देन आई विल बाय द बुक मे बी मिड जून, जो नई बुक है. सो दैट्स व्हाट आई एम रीडिंग.
So literally, you're telling me that in the next 1.5, 2 months, you have 3, 4 books lined up, and you're confident you'll finish them.
ओह यार
मेरे
इजी,
से
इट्स
एक
स्टीफन
बुक
किंग
एक
मैन.
बुक खत्म नहीं हो रही है 3, 4 महीने में यहाँ पे.
अरे भाई इट्स
ओके.
स्टीफन किंग, इट्स स्टीफन. मतलब शुरू होते ही एस, इट्स द राइटिंग इज लाइक मैन, ही स्टीफन किंग, कम ऑन.
But are his books very thick? Because I haven't read Stephen King too much.
एवरीथिंग
Are they short?
दे आर
Okay.
शॉर्ट टू थिक. जो इट करके जो मूवी आई थी पता है,
Hmm.
इट, तो उसकी
देखिए.
जो बुक है,
Hmm.
इट इज 1000+ पेजर.
Oh my God.
या, एंड स्टिल एनग्रॉसिंग.
No, but that movie was really intense.
या.
Was there are two parts to it, right? Or am
हाँ,
I making this up?
करेक्ट करेक्ट, 2 parts.
Okay. And the book is then accordingly split into those two parts, or
नो
is it
इट्स,
two
सो
separate books?
it's one book. The
Okay,
movie
which
was
was
split into
split
two
into two
parts.
movies. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I would still any day watch a 2.5 hour movie in two parts rather than read a fiction book. But ठीक है, that's just me. So
Well, तो मेरा तो like 1.5 महीना तो प्लान्ड है बुक्स में, तो वो उससे सिवा कहीं नहीं जाएगा। बट चलो शुरू करते हैं। जनवरी, फरवरी, मार्च, लेट्स डू दिस। यू टेल अबाउट वन बुक, आई टेल
हम्म,
अबाउट माई वन बुक। अच्छा, कितने पढ़े हैं जैन फेब मार्च अब तक, कितने पढ़ चुका है?
जितने महीने हुए हैं अंदाजे से उतनी बुक्स पढ़ी हैं। उतना भी आई थिंक इज commendable for the speed at which and the time at which I'm able to give to reading. But
हाँ।
pat on my back for even doing this much. But I won't compare myself to you, knowing how committed you are to reading, which is again commendable. So
या
4 books
4
in
बुक्स।
total. और
तो
चौथी वाली नो रूल्स रूल्स है जो अभी चल रही है।
अभी चल रही है तो
लेकिन
हाँ, अब ऑफ कोर्स अप्रैल
चौथा
मंथ है
महीना
तो
भी चल ही रहा है।
ये एग्जैक्टली तो अगेन मैं स्क्रीन शेयर नहीं कर रहा हूँ अनिरुद्ध, पर अपने लाइव में इट्स स्टिल गोइंग, मतलब पीपल कैन स्टिल सी माई स्क्रीन। तो
ओके,
थैंक्स टू द
कूल।
सॉफ्टवेयर इट्स वर्किंग। मैंने अब तक आई हैव रेड लाइक 9 बुक्स टिल नाउ, एंड या सो वी कैन कवर तो
तो
पे-
एक काम करते हैं,
हाँ।
मैं यू स्टार्ट टॉकिंग, मैं कॉफी वॉफी लेके आता हूँ। Even when I'm back, you'll probably still be talking. But let's start with you. I
ठीक
think
है।
I like that.
ओके तो यार जो पहले ना, लाइक इन जनवरी में तो जो मैंने पढ़ी है, द फर्स्ट बुक विच आई रेड, और लेट मी टेल यू दिस वे, मतलब दिसंबर में स्टार्ट किया था मैंने, एंड देन सो आई एम अकाउंटिंग फॉर द बुक्स विच आई फिनिश्ड इन 2025। तो नेवर फिनिश्ड करके जो बुक है डेविड गॉगिन्स की, बुक नंबर 2, यू रिमेंबर आई गिफ्टेड यू व्हेन यू मूव टू नेदरलैंड्स।
Yep.
या तो ये डेविड गॉगिन्स की बुक आर ऑलवेज देयर ऑन माई किंडल, हिज कांट हर्ट मी एंड नेवर फिनिश्ड। These are like where, once you overcome a challenge and you are like, थोड़ा सा कंप्लेसेंसी सेट होने लग रहा है, लाइफ थोड़ी रिदम में आ रही है, देन आई नीड समथिंग कि भाई वो कंप्लेसेंसी में नहीं रहना चाहिए। जैसे अभी अभी भी मैं खड़ा हूँ, कंप्लेसेंट नहीं चाहिए अपने को लाइफ में, क्योंकि अभी मेरी उम्र है टू बी अनकंफर्टेबल, बिकॉज इन 20-30 years डाउन द लाइन, देन आई कैन लुक बैक, देन आई कैन बी कंफर्टेबल। तभी भी मैं कंफर्टेबल रहूंगा कि नहीं पता, बट I think this is the secret. This is the mantra that these books are. Can't hurt me and never finished. Though I think can't hurt me was is something which I love because it's very raw. It's fast impression. You should not read never finished before
Okay.
before can't hurt me, because there's some assumption that he makes. So you can
Okay.
still read it, but it will not give you that oomph of like, bhai, David Goggins है कौन? So you need to
David
read
Goggins
Can't Hurt.
is, in my view, a real life Terminator.
Yeah,
उसको आप गोली मार दोगे वो फिर भी खड़ा हो जाएगा।
yeah, man.
आप उसका उसका हाथ ऐसे पे काट दोगे, कुछ कर दोगे, वो फिर रिकवर होके वापस खड़ा हो जाएगा।
Yes,
He
yes.
is a real life Terminator for people who have watched the series or the movies, or I don't know if there's a book on that, but I think David Goggins is a legend.
तो नेवर फिनिश में कैसा है ना, इट्स वेरी सिंपल। और so I have a podcast playlist where he has appeared. तो when I don't want to read, still want to get inspired, I work out करते करते I play that podcast. तो wherever he's appeared on Joe Rogan's, then वो Alex Modern Wisdom, then he has appeared on Andrew Huberman, etc. इन सब केस में उसका सिंपल फंडा है कि भाई एवरीवन नोज क्या सही है क्या गलत है, कसम से। ये केक है, मुझे पता है नहीं खाना है क्योंकि इट इज नॉट हेल्दी, पर फिर भी हम खाते। तो हिज कैलेस माइंडसेट वाला जो एटीट्यूड है ना, आई एम अ बिग फैन ऑफ इट, एंड स्टेडीली आई हैव सीन चेंजेस इन माई लाइफ। तो इसलिए आई दीज आर द बुक्स दैट आई लव टू रीड। तो नेवर फिनिश इज द फर्स्ट बुक विच आई फिनिश्ड इन जैन 2025।
Very nice.
या
Okay. I'm I started reading it, but now I can't remember where and when I left it.
चल,
But
मुझे
I,
पता है
I should
तूने,
started
आई
reading it
रिमेंबर
again.
व्हेन यू वर मूविंग टू नेदरलैंड्स एंड आई हैड
Hmm.
गिवन दिस फिजिकल कॉपी, यू हैड फिनिश्ड दैट इन द फ्लाइट इटसेल्फ। द बुक इज नॉट लाइक,
Oh, you're
द
right.
बुक इज
You're right.
नॉट दैट बिग।
You are absolutely right. Correct.
या
हाँ, नहीं, नहीं, I finished reading that book. That's true.
या
Yeah, but my memory is not the greatest. I
यू
read
वोंट,
maybe.
you these books are not meant to
Yeah,
like business mantras etc.
correct.
These books are like,
It's the thought process, it's the
exactly,
mentality, it's the approach, and
exactly.
yeah.
I
Fair
mean, it's
enough.
not, you won't be able to mark, अच्छा मैं ये
Yeah.
कर सकता हूँ, मैं ये, this is the first step. It's no step manual,
Yeah.
I would
It's
say.
just a David Goggins is, if we can put it simply, is a way of life.
Exactly.
Yeah. Hmm.
Exactly. So
Okay.
that's the one. You go now. Tell me yours.
So, I don't remember the sequence of the books, but one of the books which I've read is Writing a Lifetime. It's key lessons from ex-CEO of Walt Disney, Robert Iger. You may have heard of him. Have you heard of the book? No. Okay. दुनियादारी में क्या चल रहा है थोड़ा पता रखना अच्छा रहता है बट कोई बात नहीं ठीक है well now all the more important you have a young kid who watches a lot of TV so
Yeah.
Pixar, Marvel, Lucasfilms, 21st Century Fox, Walt Disney, ये सारे के सारे जो भी स्नो वाइट से लेके कोई भी मूवीज बनाते हैं सब डिज्नी कर रहा है so he was the CEO and he really transformed Walt Disney as we know today.
Hmm.
Disneyland जाते हैं लोग. A lot of these are his babies, if
Hmm.
one can just put it that way. But he really talks about the importance, and again, the book is really focused on being successful in a business. So
Hmm.
what kind of a mindset do you need to have? So having some sort of optimism even when things are not going your way, being bold and having the courage to make difficult decisions when people are not backing you up and just sticking with them. So those are some key qualities which he talks about in the book. The power of storytelling. I think as you become more and more senior in any role, storytelling is critical, right? That's what makes or breaks any presentation, any discussions that you're having. If you're
Hmm.
able to tell a story and so, the person who is listening to you is able to relate to it and connect to it, then you have solved half the battle already. So that's another key thing. I think embracing change
Hmm.
is another key thing which he mentions. Key over the course of the 15 years that he was at Walt Disney, technology has changed. A lot of things have changed, and in a typical MBA, you'll learn that you have to be quick to accept change. You have to be quick to adapt yourself, and he has been sort of at the forefront of it. कि टेक्नोलॉजी चेंज हो रही है लोगों की एक्सपेक्टेशन चेंज हो रही हैं रिक्वायरमेंट चेंज हो रही हैं how do I adapt our offerings our products so that we give our customers the end users
Hmm.
the best experience and then I think also thinking a little out of the box a lot of times you to kill competition you have to join hands with a competitor
Hmm.
and he has done multiple acquisitions. He's been at the lead of Pixar, Marvel. In सबको acquire करके they're now part of the Disney brand, which is quite important. You can continue to compete and keep your egos high and think that, okay, whatever I'm going to do, people will love it. Or you can say,
Hmm.
okay, I appreciate that there is a competitor in the market who's doing something great. How can we join forces and together give the end customer the best experience and the best
Hmm.
offering? So he talks about that. So again, transition more to a serious topic from Stephen King, but a great book to read nevertheless.
मुझे क्या लगता है पता है कि ओके, ऐसे बुक पढ़ के बोर नहीं होता?
Bore, nahi, see, in my
मतलब
view,
कितना सीख लेगा अनिरुद्ध, कितना सीख लेगा? यू आर ऑलरेडी सक्सेसफुल, यू आर ऑलरेडी डूइंग
nahi,
वेल.
I don't think it's about success or not success. It is stories.
हम्म.
While you are fond of fictional stories,
हम्म.
I am more fond of real stories. Like, who was the person? उसने क्या किया? एक real life situation में कैसे react किया?
दैट्स राइट.
That makes it more relatable for me and something which I can really enjoy. So for me, reading a autobiography of a person or a biography or their key learnings is it just goes like this. I can read
राइट.
it super quick because I don't have to know every bit of detail. I don't need to know every character. I don't need to know every single story. I can literally open 15 pages later in the book, skip a chapter altogether, and there's still a story which starts from at some moment, a chapter in their life. So that's just how I look at
That's a
the
good
books
point.
that I read.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. I think it's the true emotions are reflected in that. The true emotions of how that person would have led his or her life are reflected in the book. And if the writer and the authors they do a wonderful job, I think then it sticks with you.
Yep.
That's why it's the same common thing with going back to the David Goggins book. I think it's autobiography. It's memoir. कैसे बोलते हैं
I
इंग्लिश
think
में?
so. Yeah.
Yeah, either or. So that's that. Okay, मेरी टर्न. तो
Yep.
मैं ना because I've read more than you, so I'll cover more. Okay.
Go for
Then
it.
so ये तो because imagine the time frame. January, February, we are in Europe. Winter बहुत solid है, and it's like new. भाई नया साल में कुछ नया करना है, तो वो वाला मोड में. Then I picked up a very small book called as Discipline Equals Freedom by Joko Willink. Joko Willink का नाम सुना होगा?
ये तो सुना हुआ है.
Yeah,
I think I've heard it from you only.
yeah. He's again a Navy SEAL guy. Very successful. So very successful as a Navy SEAL guy. Okay, he had uh, he's known for his book called as Extreme Ownership. Okay, where
I've heard of it.
explains his I think his encounter in Iraq, where he was leading the troop in the most uh, hostile time of US being there. So he was leading it and what his principles that he learned from them. And उसके बाद then he's a very strong. He has his own podcast. He has his own drink. So he's a known guy. He was energy drink, and then
हाँ हाँ मैं समझ गया था.
yeah. he has been on all the prominent podcasts. ये ना ये साले एक दूसरे के पॉडकास्ट में जाके ऑडियंस छीनते रहते हैं.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
that's
yeah.
that's the strategy. But a very good guy, and it's a manual. This is a manual कि भाई 22 चैप्टर्स है. एवरी चैप्टर का एक एक प्रिंसिपल है. सो उसका डिसिप्लिन इक्वल्स फ्रीडम का फंडा क्या है कि भाई सबको लगता है कि अरे मैं सिस्टम में करूँगा, डिसिप्लिन में करूँगा मेरी लाइफ, तो यार मज़ा क्या है,
Hmm.
मुझे कुछ टाइम ही नहीं मिलेगा. बट एक्चुअली नॉट. इफ यू पुट थिंग्स इनटू पर्सपेक्टिव कि भाई इस टाइम पे ये होना है मतलब होना है. अगर तुम्हें 5:30 बजे उठना है मतलब 5:30 बजे उठना है, कुछ भी करके तुम्हारा बाकी का दिन पूरा ठीक हो जाएगा. इट्स लाइक द
Hmm.
फर्स्ट सेकेंड वीक ना वेर वी कांट गेट अप, वी आर ग्रम्पी. वी आर दिस इज अ रेडिकल चेंज जो हमें लाइफ में लाना है, विच यू आर नॉट एबल टू डू इट, एंड पीपल, a common person, even us, we resist that. But he says like नहीं यार, if you put this, if you do this, इस टाइम पे ये and you have decided to do it, you do it. Again, no nonsense book.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you do more
Yeah.
in the time that you have, but you also free up more time to do other things which you probably thought you could not do, and you are freeing up space, and then there is more freedom actually rather
Exactly.
than taking away freedom.
Exactly. So I like that book, and I've read Discipline Equals Freedom every now and then. It's just like because it's 150 पेजेस की वगैरह होगी. Okay. Every now and then मैं पढ़ते रहता हूँ उसको. There is no correlation. There is no story. There is chapters. ये अगर तुम्हें if you're sick right now, okay, then उसका एक चैप्टर है like sickness में कैसे करते हैं. He said again because his Navy SEAL is thinking from being fit and being उस एंगल से. तो if he said even though if you're sick, try to do something physical. तुम बेड पे पड़े रहो, ब्लैंकेट में रहो, ठीक है, तुम्हें अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है तुम मेडिसिन लो, ओके. अगर तुम्हारे रूटीन में तुम 5 पुशअप कर सकते हो, करो. पैर टूटा हुआ है, पैर में फ्रैक्चर है, तुम अगर डंबल से
Single
पांच
hand
बार
pull
ये
up
कर
करो.
सकते हो. या यू डोंट स्टॉप. और इट्स द सेम प्रिंसिपल इन एटॉमिक हैबिट्स में भी मैं बताऊंगा, बिकॉज आई एम रेड एटॉमिक हैबिट्स एज वेल इस टाइम पे फिर से. सो दैट इज द बुक विच आई रेड. और फिर थर्ड
Nice.
बुक मैंने पढ़ी विच यू लव, राइट, द करेज टू बी डिसलाइक बाय
Oh,
इचिरो
beautiful.
किशिमी. ओके. देख, ऑनेस्टली आई डोंट माइंड. आई लाइक द बुक, आई लाइक द एडलेरियन साइकोलॉजी कंसेप्ट. पर कैसा है ना कि मैंने दूसरी बार पढ़ी है ये.
Oh,
या
मुझे इतनी पसंद है, मैंने एक बार पढ़ी है, बट ओके।
मैंने दूसरी बार पढ़ी क्योंकि पहली बार मुझे समझी नहीं,
अच्छा।
एंड आई इट वाज टू गेटिंग टू कॉम्प्लेक्स फॉर मी। और देर उनका जो कन्वर्सेशन स्टाइल था, देख एक फिलोसोफर है एंड देयर इज वन यंग गाय हु इज ट्राइंग टू चैलेंज दैट फिलोसफी।
या
um, अभी भी मुझे कुछ मिला नहीं उनसे, देयर वाज नो की टेक अवे फ्रॉम सच अ बुक, इवन दो इट हैज बीन एक्सेप्टेड। वन ऑफ माय सीनियर लीडर्स इन माय फर्म, he it was his most gifted book of 2024 और
ओके।
2023, सॉरी। तो उस टाइम पे बट मुझे कुछ आई डोंट रिमेंबर दैट बुक एनी मोर नाउ। क्या प्रिंसिपल था, लाइफ लाइफ पे कुछ है, देन समथिंग समथिंग, yeah, I mean, I've read it, but I did not. Yeah, it was like nothing gain that I did. तो ये तीन बुक्स ना, ये काफ़ी मैंने काफ़ी लाइक एक सीरियस चल रहा था कि प्रोडक्टिविटी इम्प्रूवमेंट इम्प्रूवमेंट, फिर मैं बोल रहा कि भाई आई वांट टू गो बैक टू माय फिक्शन।
या
एंड देन काफ़ी बुक ट्यूबर्स के थ्रू मैंने सुना था प्रोजेक्ट हेल मेरी बाय एंडी वियर। तूने वो मूवी पता है द मार्शियन?
हाँ,
द
देखिए।
द मार्शियन, जहाँ पे मैट डेमन इज स्टक ऑन मार्स एंड देन ही
खुद खाना अपना, ही मेक्स हिज ओन, कल्टिवेट्स
एग्जैक्टली
एवरीथिंग। या
एग्जैक्टली, तो इट्स बेस्ड ऑन
ब्यूटीफुल।
हिज बुक एंडी वियर्स बुक।
क्रिस्टोफर नोलन ने डायरेक्ट करी क्या? आई थिंक इट इज क्रिस्टोफर
देखो
नोलन,
क्या,
बट आई कांट रिमेंबर नाउ।
देखते हैं द मार्शियन मूवी डायरेक्टर रिडली स्कॉट।
Oh, I'm confusing this. Okay. All right. No, but great movie.
ओके, तो इट्स बेस्ड ऑन दिस बुक रिटन बाय
Okay.
एंडी वियर, but Andy Weir is more, so his project Hail Mary is better than The Martian. So I directly picked up Project Hail Mary. Good book. It's a very good sci-fi book. It's the plot is very interesting कि our Earth is dying on practical basis, कि मतलब sun का जो luminosity है वो कम हो रहा है। मतलब
Hmm.
sun का अगर intensity कम हो रहा है मतलब we will freeze to death।
Makes sense.
And then there's a journey about how this guy or his uh, I mean it's like a ship, Noah's Ark, जो बाहर जाते हैं, they find something outside, etc. etc. It's a good, very very good plot, unbelievable plot, but very well written। aliens है इसमें, practical scientific terminologies है, so you would be enjoyed। So that was the next book which I read।
Very nice. Good.
Yes,
Somehow you motivated me to at least try this book.
yeah।
Okay.
इट्स गुड, मतलब प्रॉपर साइंटिफिक टर्मिनोलॉजीज इसमें डिस्क्राइब किया हुआ है। उसका एक एक थॉट मुझे याद है कि जो ड्यूरिंग कोविड टाइम्स में थे कि इतने सारे स्टैटिस्टिक्स आ रहे थे कि अगर हमने ये नहीं किया तो वी आर सस्पेक्टिंग दीज मेनी डेथ्स विल हैपन, एटसेट्रा एटसेट्रा। तो बुक में भी एक दिस कंसेप्ट कि इफ वी डू नॉट डू दिस, ओके, देन 50% ऑफ द वर्ल्ड विल डाई। फेयर। So this is like the statistics, this is like how
Yep.
the model plays, but
Sure.
then practically the lead of that program वो बोलते हैं कि ये तो तुम्हारा मॉडल बता रहा है, बट डू यू थिंक प्रैक्टिकली लाइक ऑन ग्राउंड ऐसे होगा? डू यू थिंक कि यूएस won't US or a China or a Russia will not conserve or will not look after their people and will not actually start war beforehand to
Hmm.
tap into their resources so that their people can survive? तो
Yep.
मॉडल के पहले ही हम लोग हमारा अर्थ खुद से डिस्ट्रॉय कर देंगे, इवन बिफोर द सन्स ल्यूमिनोसिटी इज अफेक्टिंग अस।
Fair enough.
तो वो बहुत दिस गुड थॉट था कि हाउ ब्रूटल वी आर एज ह्यूमंस, बट दैट वाज लाइक जस्ट 1% ऑफ द बुक। द बुक इज अबाउट द सर्वाइवल, सो इट्स अ गुड बुक।
Interesting. Nice. Very good. Okay. Then
नाउ यू गो।
very sure. Um, मेरी side से between two books, I'm just debating which one to talk about, but maybe while I said that, I cleared up my head. So the one of the nice books which I've read is called Serve to Win.
Hmm.
Um, it's more on mental wellness, physical well-being, but outside of just focusing on exercising. The book is written by Novak Djokovic. Hopefully, you know who that is.
अच्छा।
Yes, so Novak Djokovic it's a sports autobiography of when he started playing tennis, when he became a Grand Slam champion,
Hmm.
then through his struggles in Grand Slams to be able to perform and to sustain that level of fitness which was required. There have been multiple instances where he's been trolled and been made fun of, that he does not belong in the group of the greatest of all times,
Hmm.
because he is a lot of times just dropped out of the finals of a lot of Grand Slam events, semi-finals of a lot of Grand Slam events because of fitness issues.
अच्छा.
And a, a lot of his focus has then over the years been on how does he make himself physically fit, exercising, training, but he didn't find a solution there. Where he found a solution was his diet. So he was a little intolerant. I think, was it lactose or gluten?
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, rather he had gluten sensitivity. So when he actually removed gluten from his diet, something completely changed, and he was winning Grand Slams. He became world number one, consistently one of the best players, and today acclaimed as one of the greatest of all times by all means.
Hmm.
And it was his diet. It was focusing on things outside of just training and exercising which helped him. I think the concept is quite fundamental, and a lot of doctors also say this, that your fitness is not just what you do, but what you eat.
Hmm.
And that is a critical component of the book. So he talks about how taking gluten out of his diet, how being conscious about what he eats, calculating the calorie intake and whatnot, and how that really helped his overall health and his overall performance on sports, taking sort of a holistic approach, importance of sleep. Sometimes we are overworked or under a lot of pressure. We think, चलो 3-4 घंटे सो लिए इतने में हो जाएगा.
Hmm.
But the importance of sleeping well and how that results in how well you can perform the next day is quite critical. So compromising less on some of these fundamental parameters in life, and then mindfulness. So if you have a strong temperament, if you are able to control how you react under high pressure situations,
Yeah.
you can go sort of a long way as compared to people who are probably more experienced than you, who are fitter than you, who are probably they are probably the crowd's favorite. So you could be the underdog, but if you have the temperament for it, you can actually go much further than you could imagine. So I think quite fundamental things, but again, a personal story. So I really enjoyed the book.
See, this is like the book I would like to read. Tell the name again, please.
Serve to Win.
Serve to Win. Book by Novak Djokovic. This is okay. Good. I've just Google researched it. Pretty nice. Pretty nice. And it came out
Definitely.
कब आई थी ये?
2013, I think.
2013 में आई थी.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's a long time now when this was. So if you can imagine 2013 when the book I थी, that means these are his struggles way before that. So
Yeah.
in recent times, if you see Novak Djokovic playing, it's very rare that you would see him actually struggle
Yeah.
in any tournaments. He's performing usually at its peak. Um, but it's a nice book to just reflect back on his journey so far.
Tell me this. I don't follow lawn tennis sports utna, but of course I have a very deep respect towards Roger Federer. And I remember one statement he made. He sleeps for 10 to 12 hours a day. Do you remember that? Do you know that?
You're talking about Novak Djokovic
नहीं
or
नहीं
Roger
Roger
Federer?
Federer.
I
I,
think I might have heard it somewhere.
हाँ मतलब like at people who are that busy, they can still spend 10 to 12 hours a day. It's remarkable, right? And it goes back to the point of having good night's sleep, जो अभी you said.
Yep,
It's a good
absolutely.
book.
Yep,
I will see if I can pick it up. Nice.
fantastic. Very good. I think we are so far progressing quite well in terms of our reading.
Oh yes.
And any final recommendations, thoughts from your side?
भाई मेरा अभी तक रेटिंग लिस्ट खत्म नहीं हुआ है.
मैं
But
मैं एक्चुअली कॉफी लेके आ जाता हूँ फिर.
but I will. So there are like one, two, three, four, five books which I've read after प्रोजेक्ट हेल मेरी.
ठीक है,
ठीक
fine.
है.
You only get one to pick now.
I get only one to pick. So which one should I pick? But okay, let me tell which I've read. Then I'll only talk about one.
ठीक है.
This is the first time I've read How to Win in Friends and Influence People. I've never read that in my life till now, but I wanted to get that more upbeat. Okay, I'll not describe it. Sorry. So this is the one book which I've
Good.
read. One bakwas book, The Great When by Alan Moore. Alan Moore is the one who has written V for Vendetta, Watchmen, graphic
Oh,
novels.
yeah.
उसकी ये रिटन नॉवेल है. घंटा बुक है भाई. इट्स लाइक ओ माय गॉड, इट्स लाइक द फर्स्ट बुक इन इट्स एंथोलॉजी, 5 बुक एंथोलॉजी. मैं
Hmm.
नहीं पढ़ने वाला बाकी के. बहुत ही पका हुआ है, बहुत ही पका हुआ है. ठीक है.
Okay.
देन देर इज ऑफकोर्स ली चाइल्ड. ली
Hmm.
चाइल्ड तो जो मुझे पसंद है, इतने सिंपल सेंटेंसेस. अपने को पता है वो मरने नहीं वाला है इन द
Hmm.
एंड. जैक रीचर की अभी 3rd सीजन आया था
Yep.
ऑन हिज परसुएडर बुक पे, जो मैंने पढ़ी थी. मैं बोला
Okay.
तो उसी के मूड में बोला चलो वो सीरीज चल रही है, मैं बुक भी पढ़ लेता हूँ. तो दिस इज लाइक द 4th और 3rd बुक इन हिज सीरीज, 3rd और 4th बुक इन
Okay.
द सीरीज. देन समथिंग वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग और वियर्ड, वांट करके बुक है बाय जिलियन
Hmm.
एंडरसन. वेल, इट्स अबाउट
Hold on.
एनोनिमस.
Hold on. नहीं 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 नहीं.
नहीं.
You were
Oh,
just naming the books.
okay,
हो
naming
गई
the books.
5.
Then the book which we should talk about. The book which I finished, you could say, day before yesterday. Reread is Atomic Habits again
Okay.
by James Clear. So Atomic Habits का तो सबको पता है. It's like it has sold, I don't know, 20
नहीं नहीं
30.
नहीं, पहले इससे पहले you get swayed away. I know you're quite excited about books. You've decided which book you want to talk about?
Atomic Habits.
ठीक है, cool.
ठीक
All
है.
right.
Well, you and I had our second episode. Remember?
I
जब हमने
remember
शुरू
that.
किया था Atomic Habits के बारे में. एंड कैसा होता है ना कि जब कभी भी, तो आई थिंक वी बोथ हैव अ वेरी एफिशिएंट लाइफ. हम लोग सोशल मीडिया पे नहीं है, बाकी के बकर नहीं करते हैं. अवर लाइफ इज गुड, बट उसमें भी थोड़ा सा और इम्प्रूवमेंट लाने की ज़रूरत है. और कुछ कुछ वी शुडंट स्टॉप लर्निंग. पर अभी कैसा है कि इतना सिस्टम ऐसा बन चुका है ना कि वेर हाउ शुड यू मैनेज थिंग्स बेटर. लेटली आई हैव टेकन अप कुकिंग and I want to start learning German, all of this. So ये जो मैं फिट नहीं कर पा रहा हूँ, अभी भी
Hmm.
नहीं कर पा रहा हूँ बराबर. So I thought let me go back to the basics कि भाई अगर if I want to start a new habit of learning a new language, what should I do? दिमाग में पता है principles कि make it visible, make it easy, all of these, like you know, his 4
Yep.
principles that he gives. But then by the time, but I thought नहीं, let me read the book again
Hmm.
and let's do it. तो अभी मैंने क्या किया है कि after reading the book or during I was reading the book, I went back to the basics. Excel खोला, literally मैंने टाइम टेबल बनाया कि भाई मैं क्या करता हूँ, हाउ, कैसे करता हूँ, क्या करता हूँ. देन आई फाउंड आउट कि अच्छा मुझे इवनिंग में ये टाइम है 1 घंटा जहाँ पे मैं कुक कर सकता हूँ. नहीं तो अभी कैसे कि अरे सुबह में कभी कर रहा हूँ, शाम को कभी कर रहा हूँ. एंड बिकॉज आई एम रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर माई फैमिलीज हेल्थ, तो आई नीडेड लाइक ये. ओके, सो अभी आई हैव पिक द टाइम, नाउ आई नीड टू पिक अ सिस्टम टू मेक दिस एफिशिएंट. तो मैंने एक
Hmm.
एक्सेल शीट बना के रखा है 14 दिन का. मेनू यही रहेगा, 14 दिन में रिपीट होगा.
Hmm.
ओके, सो ये हुआ. अभी मैं जर्मन कब सीख सकता हूँ? तो जर्मन जब मैं ऑफिस में नहीं जा रहा हूँ तो मैं मॉर्निंग में सीखूंगा. जब मैं ऑफिस में जा रहा हूँ तब मैं इवनिंग में सीखूंगा. तो आई हैव, तो इट्स लाइक ब्लॉक्स, राइट? सो लर्न
Yep.
जर्मन, इस दिन यहाँ पे, इस दिन यहाँ पे, इस दिन यहाँ पे. कुकिंग यहाँ पे, फिर यहाँ पे मैं बाहर का खाना ले रहा हूँ, लाइक यू नो सम हेल्दी सैलेड्स. देन यहाँ पे कर रहा हूँ, यहाँ पे कर रहा हूँ. सो देन आई हैव
Discipline equal to freedom. Back to
exactly,
that.
exactly. That's how I was correlating to, right? It's तो it was, तो उसमें भी वीकडे में जब व्हेन आई गो टू ऑफिस उसका अलग सिस्टम है, वीकडे में व्हेन आई डोंट गो टू ऑफिस उसका अलग सिस्टम है, वीकेंड का अलग सिस्टम है, बिकॉज ऑल 3 टाइप ऑफ डेज आर डिफरेंट.
Hmm.
एंड आई थिंक एटॉमिक हैबिट जैसे बुक इज लाइक अ गुड रिमाइंडर. आई डिड नॉट लाइक रियली पे अटेंशन टू इट. हाँ, क्योंकि इन माई किंडल आई हैव ऑलरेडी मार्क्ड माई नोट्स, तो मैं पढ़ रहा
Yep.
हूँ, हाँ ये सही है, हाँ ये मैं यूज़ कर सकता हूँ अभी. This
Yep.
is the principle I should use. For example, when I was back in India, जब, तो I had this, do you remember habit tracker?
Yeah.
तो अभी मैंने उसका प्रिंट आउट लेके रखा है. लिटरली आई विल नीड टू पुट अ हैबिट ऑफ स्पेंडिंग टाइम विथ माई सन, क्योंकि
Hmm.
ऑफिस के कारण और ये सब चीज़ों के कारण आई वाज लाइक चल टीवी लगा देते हैं, लेट्स सी. बट नाउ
Yep.
नहीं यार, आई नीड टू हैव अ आइडेंटिटी दैट आई एम अ फादर हु स्पेंड्स टाइम विद हिज फैमिली, हु इज विद हिज
Yep.
सन. तो इट्स लाइक आइडेंटिटी चेंज लाना है. तो आई हैव ब्लॉक्ड टाइम कि भाई
Yep.
इस टाइम पे कुछ भी हो, मैं उसके साथ ये करूंगा. हाँ, अगर
Mm.
वर्क आ गया देन आई विल, that time will just get adjusted, but I will not lose that time.
Yeah.
That's the principle.
Very nice. Yeah, I think Atomic Habits is, in general, a all-weather book. You can read it at any point, any age in your life. There is something in it for someone, and you could be starting something new. You could be deciding to let go of something that you do. Whatever the case may be, is one of the best all-time books that one should read in a lifetime.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, very
Super.
good. Good. अच्छा लगा
बहुत अच्छा
to
लगा.
know your reading list and at least one or two books which I'm keen to read as well. So when we meet next,
Yes.
you'll hear my thoughts about them as well.
Super cool. Let's use this format है, मुझे मजा आ रहा है इसमें ये करने में.
मतलब
ये अपना लाइव स्ट्रीमिंग, लाइक क्या, लाइक व्हाई डू नीड टू स्क्रिप्ट, व्हाई डू नीड एवरीथिंग, लेट्स
yeah,
बकर करते हैं.
huh?
या,
Cool.
ठीक है, चलो
Let's
लेट्स
do it.
कंटिन्यू.
Let's do it. Yeah, perfect. All right.
Okay, so for now,
Okay.
let me stop this streaming and thank you everyone.
Thank you.